think if Massa was ahead in the season in 2008. I think he was. So I'm going to go Felipe Massa.
Felipe Massa also was not ahead at the summer break.
What a shit answer, Mr. V.
They definitely swapped. That was much closer. Kimi Räikkönen was nowhere. He was in third at the summer break. In that case, are we still going, or are we both
Pulse have one more guess at number 10, technically.
Well, if it's not those, we've already got Hamilton, we've already got Alonso. So going further back, Michael
Schumacher is number 10 on the list.
Yeah.
He was leading in the 2004 summer break. Which is,
shock.
What a surprise.
Crazy. But interested, like a lot of those,
question.
and also there's quite a few that like didn't go on to be the champions in the year that they were leading, but then sort of did later on. It's like,
yeah, Mark Webber.
So Mark Webber,
anytime
Oscar
he did
Piastri,
well.
most recently, Vettel.
It's great. It's great being Australian.
It's an Australian thing, yeah.
But like Vettel didn't win that championship in 2017. Rosberg didn't win the one he led in the summer. It was like, there's quite a few.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean
I
it's
guess
over.
Vettel sitting on his 4 though was probably less unhappy about.
Well, yeah.
he would have liked to get one Ferrari, but it's probably more infuriating if you're Mark Webber.
Yeah, I think that's
This
fair.
fucking
Piastri.
German kid just turns up out of nowhere and wins 2010. That was tough. That was
good. That was good.
I don't know. Actually, I was trying to think who it would have been if like Antonelli didn't count. I was assuming that we'd count Antonelli because he is like
because it hasn't happened yet.
But he's 50 points ahead.
But it's in the future. It doesn't matter. It's in the future. It hasn't happened.
Okay.
Stop assuming.
But that's what I'm trying to think then. Who would it have been before? Because Schumacher's like all of the 2000s.
I don't think he is, you know.
Is he not?
I don't think he's 2003.
Yeah, it might honestly be like Hakkinen for one of those years.
Yeah, it's either
maybe.
Hakkinen or it could genuinely be like Montoya or Raikkonen from 2003.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. I'm going to have a quick look.
I would just bang in a Hakkinen because if it wasn't one of those in 2003 or 1, then it definitely was in 99. So.
Yeah. Right. So last break before the summer break. What would they count as a summer break back then?
Yeah, it's true. When it got to the 2000s, when I was doing the numbers for it, and I was trying to work out the like early 2000s ones, there isn't like a sort of summer break, but there's always like a couple of weeks in August. So I just sort of said that.
Yeah. So we'll do 2003 German Grand Prix. Who was leading the championship after that? It was. Oh, it was Schumacher.
Yeah.
2002 was definitely Schumacher.
Yeah, 2001 would have been Schumacher.
I think 1 might be closer if you take a look.
It's tricky. You got to find where the Grand Prix is, and then also who was leading after it. Some admin for you, Pulse. Would you like?
Do it real quick now.
Oh, I've got 2 more tenables. That we've got the Hungary related tenables.
Let's do one Hungary one. But
Let's do one.
Then we need to let people go watch the grid walk.
Okay. We've got which one's more exciting? I think this one's more exciting. Let's go for there have been 21 different winners of the Hungarian Grand Prix, but only 10 people have won it more than once. So I would like you to name the 10 drivers who have won the Hungarian Grand Prix more than once.
Right.
Okay.
Who's starting?
I can't remember who started the last one.
I missed it. I'll go first.
Yeah. Go on, Pulse.
This could be difficult. Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis Hamilton is number 1 on the list. Won it 8 times? 8 times.
Yes.
I will take Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher's number 2. He's won it 4 times.
Jenson Button.
Jenson Button won it twice. He's number 8 on the list.
I think Fernando Alonso.
Fernando Alonso has only won at the Hungaroring once.
Really? Okay.
Yes, indeed. It's incorrect.
Sebastian Vettel.
Sebastian Vettel's number 9, just behind Jenson Button, also has won it twice.
Nico Rosberg.
Nico Rosberg has never won the Hungaroring.
Let's think about it then. Mika Hakkinen?
Mika Hakkinen has indeed won it twice. He's number 7 on the list. Because he did it before Jenson Button.
I want to say Nigel Mansell, but that's a bad idea. Can I have Alain Prost?
Alain Prost?
In the first few years.
Got to be.
It's not on there.
What is going on?
It's not on there.
Who are these people?
Ayrton Senna.
Ayrton Senna's number 3. He won it 3 times.
Right, I'm out. I've got 3 wrong answers.
You're missing a like a fairly obvious one recent.
Really?
Yeah.
We're fucking not.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, fine.
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen, he's won it twice. He won everything in all of the years.
Yeah.
I am so sorry, Max Verstappen fans. You are already mad at me for other reasons.
You're missing 4, 5, and 6, which are, I would say, the tricky ones on there, to be fair. They've all won it twice, and they did it prior to Mika Hakkinen, because Mika Hakkinen won it twice, and he's number 7.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to look it up because I'm out. So.
Bloody hell. What about... I think the other ones are... They're going to be some, like... random ones.
They're not too random. Like, they're all...
Random versus, like, the other lists that we do.
They're all pretty good drivers, I would say. Like...
Hit me with a... Wait, so Hakkinen... The ones that have done it before did it before Hakkinen, right?
Yeah.
Ooh. Would Villeneuve have done it twice then?
Villeneuve has done it twice. He did indeed. He's number 6. Villeneuve's there.
Right. And the other two... Mr. V's already said Big Nige, Johnny.
Actually didn't.
No.
Oh, Big Nige.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I'm going for it. Big Nige.
Nigel Mansell's number 11 on the list. He only won it once. Didn't win. The 2 you were missing were PK and Hill. Number 4 and number 5. Damon Hill, I should say.
It's all Williams. It's all Williams.
Yeah, it's very Williams heavy, actually. Remember when Williams used to be good here? Don't mention that to Alex Albon.
Or James Vowles.
Well, just when Williams used to be good anywhere.
Yeah, fair.
Now they're good nowhere.
That was tough. I thought the other one that we... Yeah, Alain Prost is insane that he's not there.
He never won it.
No.
What was he doing?
But even like
he never showed up to.
He must have driven in like 7 of them or something, and he just didn't win it ever.
But there's some weird... The other one that we always do is the last 10 different winners. And that would have also been quite tricky, because there's like weird ones in there, like Ricciardo won it, Ocon won it, yeah. So like
Ocon, yeah.
There's a few weird winners in
hard,
Hungary.
It's just like Norris, Verstappen, then Ocon.
Piastri, Yord.
Piastri's
Did Piastri win Hungary? Oh,
yes.
But nothing happened in that one. Piastri won.
Nah, nothing at all.
The least contentious win I've ever seen.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. But no, I think should we probably head off, guys?
Head on off.
Yeah.
A bit of grid walk, some formation lap.
A little bit of grid walk. Yeah. And we will see you post Hungarian Grand Prix for the podcast on Wednesday.
Yeah.
On Wednesday.
Very true.
But thank you for joining. I will see you very soon, and I will head to my stream. Goodbye.
Thank you for the games, James.
Game.
This is hello. I can't remember if I set it to automatically go live or not, but I think we're live on the normal, not applicable channel. Forgot my own name. NA James channel. There we go. Let's just get rid of that. Get rid of this. Make sure we're live. Oh, I don't think we're live on Twitch. Oops. Let me hit live on Twitch. Because that doesn't go automatically, I don't think. Beautiful. There we are. We are live on many, many platforms. Hello, Sarah. How's it going? Hello, Talker22. Thoughts on the Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia? Yeah, of course. It's weird that they... I understand why they're continuing to call it the Bahrain Grand Prix, because Bahrain are going to pay for it. But it does feel weird to call it the Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia, doesn't it? I think it'd be fun, though. I think it'd be an interesting race. I have a few worries about the track. And suiting. That's why it's so dark in here. I wonder why it's so dark in here. It's because I haven't actually got some of the lights on. I was a little bit worried about the two really long straights in Malaysia. But apart from that, I think it would be a fun race. I quite like it. Add more races to the calendar, especially because we've lost out on 4 races this season. So I didn't really want it to drop all the way down to 20. Now 21 if Malaysia's on there. Obviously, assuming Qatar and Abu Dhabi are not going to take place, which I think is fair to say that Qatar and Abu Dhabi are not going to take place because I can't see them coming through. But we'll have to wait and see. In terms of predictions, actually, I'll pop them up on the screen for you. Some people asking about your guys' predictions for the race. We did talk about them a little bit yesterday, pre-qualifying. And of course, we can't change our answers after qualifying either. So these are locked in at the beginning of the weekend. Prediction was Kimi Antonelli to go on to win another Grand Prix. Not looking likely at this point. A 3-place grid penalty for Kimi Antonelli affects his chances just a little bit. And also, I don't know, the Mercedes just doesn't feel quite as dominant here as it has in previous weekends at various different tracks. We then had a podium, 2 Ferraris. I could see that happening, to be honest with you. I could see Hamilton, even with the 3-place grid drop, maybe even winning this Grand Prix, if I'm honest with you, definitely getting onto the podium. Charles Leclerc's an interesting one because he's got one less set of medium tyres, or at least a scrubbed set of medium tyres that he used in qualifying if he does go for that. So that could be an interesting one. And then surprise package Max Verstappen. Obviously wasn't very happy after qualifying yesterday, but still didn't qualify too badly. It wasn't an absolute disaster from Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Obviously, when he spins out, he does just kind of lose his head a little bit. But I can still see him getting a fairly decent surprise. The thing is here in Hungary, nobody has won from pole in the last 5 years. So I think it's going to be... I'd hope that changes this time around. And I'd hope that obviously Lando Norris can win from pole position here. But it's not filling me with hope. For some reason, that superstition has got to me, and I'm thinking maybe this could be a pretty poor weekend from Lando Norris overall, and a pretty tricky race, I should say. A pretty good weekend for Lando Norris. Taking pole position still good, but yeah, maybe a tricky race. Lando's gonna break the curse. I hope so. I really do hope so. Lewis P1, to be fair, I could see Lewis P1 as we now have the national anthem. I could definitely see Lewis coming out P1 overall, to be honest. I think that could... He just looks... And also, he's won here 8 times previously, but he did just look fairly comfortable in the car. He's looked decent across the whole weekend. Seems to just be back, doesn't he, Lewis Hamilton? Properly back to his best now. I know that we said that after the win in Spain, but he's continued that on with fairly decent form. Couple of things have gone a little bit awry strategy-wise, and the car's reliability in general, all of the 2026 cars are pretty poor. I think I was having a look the other day that Alpine have done the most laps of any Mercedes-powered team, so wasn't expecting that, considering they're the team that are brand new to the Mercedes power unit, but there we go. every time I put someone on the thumbnail, they do good. Oh, that's interesting. I haven't actually tracked that. I think it's Kimi Antonelli on the thumbnail because, of course, we'll be leading the championship going into the summer break. Like, we can have a little look at the Drivers and Constructors Championships as well before we delve into the statistics for this weekend. But Kimi Antonelli has a lead in the championship of just under 50 points, will be leading the championship going into the summer break. So it's an interesting one. Whether or not he'll be able to maintain that, it's not the most massive of leads, but still 2 Grand Prix. So it's like, I know the problem is we saw Max Verstappen come back from like 100 points last year. That's not normal. That's not the standard thing that happens, right? We shouldn't predict that Max Verstappen is gonna, or that Max Verstappen coming back from 100 points is now the norm. We should not say like Oscar Piastri is still in the title battle here. Like, it shouldn't be the case. But at the same time, the Mercedes power unit is very poor. It's pretty tricky, like, to balance these cars properly. I don't want to say it's over. But then how far do you go back? Like, Hamilton's still in the title battle, I would say yes. George Russell still in the title battle, I would say yes. Like 50 points behind his teammate. It's not impossible to come back from that, especially if the second half of the season sort of becomes a lot better for George Russell. It becomes more what we predicted for George Russell. Like, you go back to the first couple of races of the season and George was absolutely dominating. It was sort of post-April break, wasn't it? We came back in Miami and that was when Antonelli really kind of took a stranglehold of the season. But we did have 3 Grand Prix before then that were really good for George Russell. Got a little bit unlucky here and there. I could see George Russell still in it. Charles Leclerc, 126. I think Charles Leclerc's just not quite been at his best throughout the season so far. It's been tough for it. Well, it's been a bit 50-50 for him, hasn't it? It's been tough. He's had the car not quite working the way that he wanted it to. I think Charles Leclerc not in the championship battle. Lando Norris with a win here. If there's a win and a DNF for Antonelli, he would go, just ahead of Charles Leclerc if there's also a DNF for Charles Leclerc. Kind of quite far behind Lando Norris, but hey, I know I just said Charles Leclerc's out of the championship battle. Lando Norris has been driving really well. I think he's also out of the championship battle, but he's been driving really well. And let's not give up on the McLaren dream. Piastri just 1 point ahead of Verstappen 31 points ahead of his teammate Isaac Hadjar on 60. Then we get into the midfield battle. Gasly versus Lawson for best of the rest. Also Lindblad versus Colapinto. Sort of the Racing Bulls versus the Alpines and how that battle will play out in the second half of the season. Ollie Behrman's still there in 13th place despite this Haas being absolutely nowhere now. Just again goes to show how good that Haas was at the beginning of the season and how far it has fallen. Bortoletto feeling like he will catch Ollie Behrman at some point. The Haas car just not looking anywhere close to the Audi at the moment. Nico Hülkenberg still on 0 points. I don't know how. Like, he just is the most unlucky man in the world. Hasn't been great for Nico Hülkenberg either, but he has been really unlucky at times as well. I don't know. Nico Hülkenberg for me feels like he should have more points on the board than that. And then it's whether or not the Aston Martins. Obviously, the big upgrade coming. Fernando Alonso starting 16th. Then another power upgrade coming after the summer break. Like, Aston Martin could, I think, feasibly get themselves in and amongst sort of the Alpine Audi section of the grid post-summer break. And that then starts to add a little bit of sort of jeopardy almost to the Gasly-Lawson battle and also the Alpine RB battle in terms of the Constructors' Championship as well, because they're very close to one another. In fact, aren't they on? They are on exactly identical points, Alpine 61, Racing Bull 61. So if Aston Martin and Audi sort of get involved in that battle a little bit more, could be very tight between Racing Bulls and Alpine to see who kind of comes out best of the rest in the midfield from the Constructors' Championship as well. And then we go to today. Let's move on. We've got 10 minutes before the start of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris does start on pole position. Top spot at the moment. As I say, though, the last 5 Grand Prix have been won by drivers not starting on pole position. So it's a tough one to win from pole. It's a tough one to win from pole, unfortunately. But rules are made to be broken. Lando Norris could do it from first place. Charles Leclerc starts in second. Be interested to see what tyres Charles Leclerc starts on. That's the main thing I want to know. from the Ferrari garage, because they've got a bit of a weird balance of tyres, because Charles Leclerc used an extra set of mediums in qualifying, and we'll kind of see how that goes. Oh, we did get something just pop up there. How did that just disappear instantaneously? Apologies. I saw a super chat possibly, or like a thing, and then it just disappeared. I'll try and find it. I don't know why that just disappeared. Oh, there we go. Hope Russell loses the championship and gets dropped. Jesus. Okay. I don't know about gets dropped, but I don't think he'll win the championship. I do think it'll be pretty tricky for him to win the championship. Just like, he needs a massive swing, right? Needs a massive swing. No Merc podium would be very interesting as well. Thank you, Egg, for following over on Twitch, and Hippie following on Twitch as well. Getting the Twitch follows in early before we've even started the race. Hit the like button if you're on the stream on YouTube as well. Might as well get the ball rolling a little bit earlier on. Support the stream with super chats and various bits and pieces. But yeah, but thank you for that super chat. Apologies that it disappeared instantly. But I don't know, it'd be interesting. I think George is still in it. Let's give George a little bit of credit. But there we go. How can you hate Alonso? I don't hate Alonso. But I mean, his Aston Martin car's not doing him any favours this one. Leclerc defo winning it. It's the strategy that puts me off Leclerc, unfortunately. And the fact that I just think Norris and Hamilton have been better so far this season and look better here this weekend too. So I think Leclerc is going to have a tough battle on it. Like, if Leclerc does win, it'll be like quite a good battle with like Lewis Hamilton, where he comes out just on top. Like, that kind of thing happens where he just sneaks it ahead of Lewis Hamilton, or just sneaks it ahead of Lando Norris. I don't think it's going to be an absolute like domination from Charles Leclerc at this point. Could be completely wrong. Could be proved completely wrong. Don't get me wrong. But I just see it going that way for Charles Leclerc at this point, if I'm honest. We then go to Oscar Piastri, starting in third place. Obviously inherits that. Kimi Antonelli and Lewis Hamilton both with penalties after qualifying. Hamilton for impeding Oscar Piastri. So we didn't really get to see that final qualifying run is the word I'm looking for, from Oscar Piastri, to kind of see what he was able to do on that final run, just because he was cut off by Lewis Hamilton. But starting P3 anyway, especially if he can get above Charles Leclerc just at the beginning there and going into the pit stops, McLaren have the ability to sort of sit 1-2 and dictate from the front. I feel like that could be great for McLaren. Obviously, tough for McLaren to do that. They've got to get past Charles Leclerc, but if Piastri can get himself above there, that would be an incredible thing for their strategy throughout the weekend. Max Verstappen starting fourth. This is what I mean. Max Verstappen's very angry again after qualifying. And I can understand he just wants a car that he's happy with the balance of, but it's not the end of the world for Max Verstappen. Could certainly get himself a podium from fourth place there, I feel. And will he be able to properly sort of go for the win? I'm less convinced they'll be able to go to a win, but I feel like maybe a sneaky podium for Max Verstappen, a third place finish, a couple of other cars having problems is certainly up for grabs. Russell starts ahead of Antonelli. That's an interesting battle to now watch, because obviously Antonelli, with that 3-place penalty, drop into 7th place. I think we could get a little tasty battle between Russell and Antonelli here. I feel like that could be quite an exciting one to watch. Going down in towards turn 1. We know it's tricky to overtake here sometimes. I think Russell and Antonelli are both going to be absolutely gunning for it right at the beginning of the race. And therefore, are they going to get in each other's way? We're going to start to see some radio messages, maybe even a little bump or two between the two Mercedes cars. And then Isaac Hadjar sort of rounding out the top 8 in 8th place in that Red Bull. Hadjar's a weird one, isn't it? Hadjar a few times this season has kind of really clicked with the Red Bull car, but in Q2, like, it often feels like maybe it's just because everyone else is also holding a 10th or 2 back and Hadjar maybe isn't, but Hadjar's Q2 lap yesterday, he got himself right in the mix, and it was like, okay, maybe Hadjar can be quite competitive here. But then Hadjar just P8 overall, didn't really sort of get anywhere close to the top spots, and was a slight bit adrift of his teammate as well. It's like, just didn't quite click for Isaac Hadjar when it really matters. Lindblad and Hulkenberg, the two drivers starting inside of the point scoring places for the midfield teams. Lindblad's an interesting one. Got the better of Lawson, but Lawson there in 11th place. So Hulkenberg in a little bit of a problematic Racing Bulls sandwich there, isn't it? Hulkenberg between those two Racing Bulls cars. I'm sure they'll play a little bit of strategy games. Gasly and Colapinto will be hoping to sort of disrupt Racing Bulls a little bit for those final point-scoring places. If Lindblad can get out of the gate and go well, I feel like we could see Lindblad kind of disappear from the midfield pack a little bit. But if Hulkenberg maybe gets ahead, or Lawson maybe kind of gets involved, and there's a little bit of a back and forth, and Gasly and Colapinto maybe are able to jump in front of Lindblad, I feel like then it's going to be quite a big battle that sort of plays out throughout the Grand Prix in the midfield. Gabriel Bortoleto in 14th place as well. A little bit disappointed by Gabby yesterday. I thought he had a little bit more in the tank, considering where Hulkenberg managed to qualify, but Bortoleto down in 14th. I think he'll be looking to move forwards. The Alpine's certainly up for grabs. Then you kind of get to a bit of a different pack. Ocon and Alonso, Ollie Bearman in there as well. Will the Aston Martins actually be able to hold on to the Haas cars? I think it's a good goal for them to have, right? Haas aren't really fighting in that proper midfield battle anymore. Haas do feel like they're a step below Hulkenberg and the Audi and Racing Bulls and Alpine's cars. Like, does feel like they're kind of a step below now at Haas. If Alonso can hold on to those and sort of stick with Ocon or stick with Bearman, I'd be very interested to see how that Aston Martin goes. I do then feel like the Williams car is going to just be in its own realm at the back of the pack, and then Cadillac right at the back all by itself as well. I can feel like the Williams and Cadillacs aren't gonna be achieving too much, to be honest with you. They're just gonna kind of be there in the background whilst everything else is going on. Sapanga's back. Pretty much. They've got to sort out the final contract bits and pieces, but it is pretty much done and dusted that the Malaysian Grand Prix, or the Bahrain Grand Prix in Malaysia, will happen in October. Let me just pop these couple of bits here. Thank you for all the new followers over on Twitch as well. If you just came in very swiftly, and all the new subscribers on YouTube too. Massively appreciate that. Let's head to the slightly more detailed racing board that we've got. Oops, I forgot to rescale the track. It is weird like how boxy the Hungaroring is. That it looks way different to all of the other circuits and doesn't like fill the space in the same way. Every single other track's a lot wider than it is sort of tall. But the Hungaroring, not so. There we go. Slot that in there. And we're ready to go. A few driver radio messages getting going for the formation lap. We are almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Oop. There we go. And let me also just do the race control one because they changed it. Everybody down to 13th on medium tyres. Scrub set of soft compound tyres for Charles Leclerc. And a fresh set of soft compound tyres for Lewis Hamilton is an interesting one. As I said, I was interested to see what the Ferraris would start on. Both of them going for soft compound tyres. I thought Charles Leclerc might go for soft compound tyres or something a bit weird, right? I think it might go for something a bit weird just because he used those mediums in qualifying yesterday. But both of the Ferraris starting on soft compound tyres was not something that I expected, considering the degradation has been pretty high throughout this Grand Prix weekend as well. Piastri starting on the mediums behind Leclerc will be quite punchy, I'd imagine. I imagine Piastri will sort of see that and go, well, Piastri's got to pit first. So, Leclerc's got to pit first, so can kind of get the undercut possibly on him there, or the overcut on him there. Be interested. Be interested to see what Leclerc and Hamilton do here. Then everyone down to Gabriel Bortoleto on medium compound tyres. Gabriel Bortoleto starts on softs, and then it's a little bit of a soft medium pattern that we've got with Ocon on the mediums, Alonso on the softs, Behrman on the mediums, Sainz on the softs. We are going to get underway for the formation lap. Let me just quickly pop this on so you can see the cars getting away. Lando Norris takes his McLaren car down towards turn 1. Ooh. Here we go. Oh. Need to just pop the track map. There we go. There we go. Thank you for all the new subscriptions and the likes over on YouTube as well. Wow. Doing really well today. Appreciate that. Looking like a 2-stop strategy. Just having a gander at the strategies that are predicted. So we could kind of see a bit of a weird race where the Ferraris go in one direction, so the Mercedes and McLarens go in another direction, and we don't really see the 2 teams or 3 teams battling for the victory until right at the end, where it all kind of converges into the middle. Of course, assuming that everything goes well for those drivers up until that point. Got 2 pit stops that could go wrong. We've got various options where we often see a safety car or 2 in Hungary. Could certainly play into some teams' favour, others not so much. Lando's going to lose the first position down to the first corner. Well, we know that Charles Leclerc and Ferrari in general are rockets off the start line. So I don't think it's impossible, that Lando Norris does lose the lead down towards turn 1. And I wouldn't be too surprised if that is the case, if I'm honest with you. But we'll have to wait and see. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton haven't been as rapid off the start line as they were right at the beginning of the season. Like, that was their real domination era, wasn't it? Right at the beginning of the campaign, where they were just absolutely ridiculous off the start line. And got Valtteri Bottas just coming around the final corner. Sergio Perez peels back into the pits. Sergio Perez starting from the pit lane today. Should have mentioned earlier, but I mean, it's not going to make too much of a difference. But just in case you're a Sergio Perez fan and wondering where he is starting from the pit lane this afternoon. Valtteri Bottas, though, takes his slot at the back of the pack. And we have a green flag waved for the 40th Hungarian Grand Prix. 1986 the first, 2026 the next. Who will be on the top step of the podium, though? 5 red lights, and we're about to get underway for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lando Norris does come across, and now Charles Leclerc actually bogs down a little bit. Piastri's able to get the better, and now Max Verstappen side by side with the Ferrari. Piastri even having a look at Lando Norris. Hamilton and Verstappen swamp Charles Leclerc either side, and Leclerc's going to move backwards as Verstappen moves up into the podium places. Now we've got Hamilton versus Leclerc down towards turn 3 they go. Oh, it's getting close between Hamilton and Verstappen there, but Verstappen just about holding off Hamilton. Oh, and they, I think, do touch. Hamilton fighting with Verstappen, has to back out. That allows Charles Leclerc the opportunity to run back at his teammate, not this time around. So Hamilton stays 4th for now. And Hamilton trying to actually go around the outside of Max Verstappen as they make their way through the middle sector now. But Charles Leclerc also having a look up the inside of Hamilton, and Verstappen, Hamilton and Leclerc all over one another in the first 6 quarters, of this Grand Prix. We then get to the middle sector, which is a little more follow one by one. Gets very tight through these twisty corners. And then Oscar Piastri's leading. Oh my goodness. I was watching Lewis Hamilton and Verstappen in all of that. Piastri has taken the lead from Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri through George Russell asking on the radio what happened there. To catch up, George Russell has dropped all the way down to 20th place. Kimi Antonelli's in 6th, Hadjar 7th, Lawson and Lindblad with a brilliant start for the Racing Bulls team. They're up into 8th and 9th place. Lawson now ahead of Lindblad. Hulkenberg holding on to that final point scoring position. I was watching Hamilton and Verstappen. That was such an incredible battle between those two, which is continuing now. And Hamilton just has to concede a little bit to Verstappen there. But everyone else also having crazy starts. Piastri up from P3 to P1. George Russell having a problem getting off the line is now fighting his way back through the Aston Martin and Williams cars. He's up to 18th place, but is down 12 positions from where he started. Antonelli actually holding off Isaac Hadjar rather than looking forward at the Ferrari cars. And I think this might be a bit of a Mercedes disaster class. The Mercedes car's not looking anywhere close to the Ferrari ahead, and George Russell now stuck behind Carlos Sainz as he makes it through the middle sector. The Williams car holding him at bay. Lewis Hamilton trying to close that gap to Max Verstappen again. I don't think it's going to let Verstappen lie for very long. Hamilton within half a second of the Red Bull. Does get that additional boost. Seems like it was a stall from George Russell on the line. He had to basically restart the car all over again and go once more. George Russell is going to be right in the midfield mix for a little while now. It's not going to be great. Lewis Hamilton, though, is he going to have a look at Max Verstappen down towards turn 1? Has a little glance up the inside, just lets Max Verstappen know that he's still there. Problem is, Hamilton's also got to be a little bit careful of Charles Leclerc behind, and he doesn't open the door to his teammate as Hamilton decides to go around the outside at turn 2. Not this time around. Maybe back at him at turn 3 or up towards turn 4. He's going to follow behind, use maybe a little extra bit of boost, Lewis Hamilton, to close that gap. And Verstappen holds off the Ferrari once again for now. So it is Piastri from Norris, Verstappen up there in 3rd place, Hamilton 4th, Charles Leclerc 5th. And we've got down to Antonelli in 6th position. Has now started to close the gap to the Ferraris a little bit. I think Hamilton and Verstappen fighting has just sort of slowed them up a touch, which then means Leclerc and Antonelli have stayed within touching distance. Isaac Hadjar also underneath the rear wing of the Mercedes car. Then you get to Lawson, Lindblad and Hulkenberg, the 3 drivers inside of the point scoring places. And Lawson actually doing a great job to escape away from Lindblad. Lawson is already 2 seconds ahead of his Racing Bulls teammate. And Nico Hulkenberg trying his best to stay competitive with the Racing Bulls cars. It's about half a second adrift, but still inside the point-scoring positions. Carlos Sainz has finally moved out of the way of George Russell, but Russell now only up into 17th place. And the Mercedes car doesn't look like it's going to be able to sieve through the midfield as quickly as George Russell would have liked. As Oscar Piastri now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri does go well here in Hungary. I think it was in Hungary 2023 where it kind of really started to click for Oscar Piastri. It was the first time that he really got to grips with F1 tyres and started to look like the race winner that he has now become. Had a pretty tough start to the season, Oscar Piastri. Well, McLaren team in general have. But now is leading the Hungarian Grand Prix and could make it his 2nd win in Hungary this weekend. Won a very uncontroversial race in 2024. See if McLaren pull a similar thing here this afternoon with Lando Norris behind. No further investigation between Alonso and Behrman, forcing another driver off the track. They're having a little tete-a-tete with one another. George Russell has just got in front of Ollie Behrman, keeping an eye on where George Russell is able to get through the midfield pack. But Russell already 15.5 seconds off the race leader, Oscar Piastri. So an absolute disaster start from George Russell. Fernando Alonso, the next car in the list. And actually, Alonso holding his place fairly well. Lance Stroll hasn't been able to get past the Williams cars, but is holding off the Cadillac cars behind. And actually, Max Verstappen is a little bit further ahead of Hamilton than he was last time around. Hamilton's gone deep into turn 1. Hamilton's gone through turn 1 a little bit deeper. Charles Leclerc can't quite get close enough to his teammate to make that count, though. So Hamilton holds on to 4th. Charles Leclerc stays 5th. Be interesting to see what Ferrari do from this position, though, as Isaac Hadjar had to dart round George Russell. Russell, a sitting duck, and just did not get moving. George Russell then had to really be careful not to wipe himself out. Actually fell all the way to the back of the pack, George Russell. I was keeping an eye on the two Ferraris as they were side by side. Lewis Hamilton also tried to go up the inside of Max Verstappen at turn 3 on the first lap, but wasn't quite able to do so. Oh, God. Max Verstappen. Let's have a little look at this George Russell replay. Yeah, just anti-stall, I think. Had to then put the clutch in and start all over again. And by the time you've done that, you've lost every single place imaginable. And it was Oscar Piastri actually getting the better of Lando Norris through turn 2, it seems. And then just able to dart up the inside through turn 3. Lando Norris just going a little bit wide at turn 2. Both of the McLaren cars looking a little bit unsettled. And very nice from Oscar Piastri, just optimizing turn 2 compared to his teammate there at the start of the race and getting that position. Is still leading the Grand Prix. Piastri, Lando Norris behind. Lando Norris just about within boost range as George Russell now moves ahead of Franco Colapinto with a nice move up the inside at turn 1. And now this is interesting for George Russell because he's kind of done the first barrier, which is kind of the back of the pack midfieldy cars. Now he's getting into the proper midfield. Bortoletto, Gasly, Hulkenberg, Ocon's in there as well. Could be interesting to see what George Russell can do from that perspective, how close he can get in terms of closing that gap, especially as Hadjar has now fallen away a little bit from Antonelli. It's a 2-second gap between Antonelli and Hadjar. Another few seconds between Hadjar and Lawson. 3.5 seconds, that gap. And Max Verstappen still not very happy at all with the balance of the Red Bull car. He maybe tried to make some changes overnight after the balance caused him to spin out at turn 14 during qualifying on that final push lap. And Lewis Hamilton having a look at Verstappen once again. Problem Lewis Hamilton's now got is he's on the soft compound tyre, obviously less durable than Max Verstappen's car. Medium compound tyres. Well, I'll have to wait and see whether or not Hamilton continues on. Does he try and go a little bit longer on those soft compound tyres? What's the degradation like compared to the Red Bull? Oscar Piastri with another fastest lap of the race. Just trying to escape away from his teammate. Make sure Lando Norris isn't within boost range. And he's done exactly that. Lando Norris now 1.3 seconds behind Oscar Piastri. Track map for some reason is now a little bit broken, so apologies. I'll try and reset it momentarily, but it seems like all of the drivers' radars are not quite clicking with where they should be. Like it's not an issue my end. It's an issue actually on Formula One's end because you can see actually on the broadcast it's also swapping around quite a bit. But the track map hopefully will sort itself out. Let me try and reset it. There you go. I'll reset. It probably will freeze for a moment just while I reset it. Never underestimate the Ferrari pit wall ability to throw a race. Fingers crossed. I mean, haven't pitted yet, and they will have to pit first. It's whether or not they pit quite far first, or whether or not they pit a little bit later than they're expecting. Try and hold on to the back of Verstappen for as long as possible. Verstappen doesn't seem very happy inside of his Red Bull car, to be fair, so Hamilton might be able to just about get himself ahead of Verstappen. He's held on to the back of him really well. He's still within 3/4 tenths of a second of Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc has fallen to outside of boost range. He's 1.1 seconds adrift. Antonelli also not looking anywhere near as competitive as he would have liked to have been and has been throughout the season so far. Antonelli in 6th place in a little bit of a no man's land, though. Is a second and a half adrift of Charles Leclerc ahead and 3.5 seconds clear of Isaac Hadjar. So not really anything that Kimi Antonelli has got to fight for at the moment. Max Verstappen trying to fend off Lewis Hamilton, and Hamilton actually allowing Charles Leclerc back within boost range, it seems. Hamilton taking a slightly different line through turn 14. Gets a little bit out of shape, though, and just doesn't feel like he's going to be close enough to Max Verstappen as they make their way down towards turn 1 once again. Hamilton does have another swift little look, but isn't within touching distance of Verstappen. You can see the graining on the rear right tyre of Max Verstappen's Red Bull car. Hamilton just looking like he's got a little bit more in those tyres still, even though they're the soft compound tyres. Through the first sector, Hamilton closes that gap dramatically and then just isn't quite able to hold on to Verstappen through the middle part of the lap. So has to then use the first sector to get back underneath the rear wing. Hamilton just needs a really good middle sector and then he'll have a proper run at Max Verstappen soon. Piastri has actually done really well to get 1.7 seconds ahead of Lando Norris as they come through. Lance Stroll has just come into the pits. And I'm not sure what's happened there with Lance Stroll, but he's falling backwards. He come back out. He has come back out, though. Lance Stroll has come back out. Was worried that was going to be a DNF there for the Aston Martin team. Lance Stroll, of course, with a problem in free practice 1. Cost him quite a lot in free practice 2 as well, Lance Stroll. So would quite like just a clean race, I'd imagine, considering those upgrades onto the car. Give Aston Martin a lot of details about what the upgrades have been able to achieve. Piastri coming through. He's doing very well indeed, is Oscar Piastri. And Lando Norris. Just dirty air, says Lando Norris. He thinks he would be much faster, obviously without that dirty air affecting his tyres. I think that's fair to say. Probably would be the case. But Oscar Piastri, continuing on, is leading the race from Lando Norris. 1.4 seconds the gap. Norris not very happy about it. I imagine Piastri kind of getting the jump on him in turn 2 was not something that he'd planned on going into this race. Piastri, though, actually is being closed in by Lando Norris here. Lando Norris just finding a couple of tenths of a second on the last lap. Verstappen then 2.4 seconds behind. Hamilton still behind Verstappen, but is actually falling away a little bit. Verstappen's just very good through the middle sector, able to escape away from Hamilton a little bit through the middle part of the lap. Hamilton then kind of gets it back in the first sector, but it just kind of leaves them about where they are. And Oscar Piastri saying plan A target lap sounds good. Has obviously got all the clean air in front of him, Oscar Piastri, and nothing to really worry about at this point. Leading the Grand Prix by over a second. Doesn't have to worry about his teammate with boost behind. It's looking very solid for Oscar Piastri. 11 laps in. Lewis Hamilton again just through the first sector. Gets right underneath the rear wing of Verstappen, but then can't hold on to him through the middle part of the lap. Just means that Verstappen is able to get far enough away that Hamilton then can't really make any kind of moves down towards turn 1 or turn 2 where we expect those overtakes to come about. And Max Verstappen on the radio asking for a little bit of help with the shifting of gears. And Jean-Pierre Lambiase will go to work now and see if he can come up with a solution for Max Verstappen as to why his shifts do feel a little bit strange. Is doing enough, though, and keeping Hamilton at bay, even though Hamilton does feel like he has clearly the faster car. And Hamilton says on the radio he has the faster car of the two. Hamilton just being slowed down by Verstappen. Be interesting to see what Ferrari do here with Hamilton, because it does feel like they are being just held up by Verstappen a little bit. Hamilton's still only 5 seconds off the lead of the race, so not an impossible amount of time to make back over the next 58 laps that he's still got. It's just if you did pit Lewis Hamilton, he would come out still behind Arvid Lindblad. So I imagine that the Ferrari team are kind of hoping that they can pit Hamilton and come out ahead of Liam Lawson. Just in that gap between Hadjar and Lawson would be perfect for the... although then you're in Hadjar territory, and suddenly Hadjar could maybe put a spanner in the works, holding up Hamilton to help Verstappen hold on to that podium place. So it's a tricky one for Ferrari. They need to pit at just the right time and make sure they come out in and around a nice little bit of clean air. There's not really enough of a gap between Lawson and Lindblad, which is where they would almost come out soon. They need to do a few more laps to try and get away from Liam Lawson. Let's look at Hamilton's lap times. 125.7. Lawson's a 126.8. So he's kind of gaining a second or so a lap. Lewis Hamilton needs another 3 or 4 laps, then you would say, to really be comfortable of getting out ahead of Liam Lawson once pitting. And that's only if Hamilton's tyres can continue on. Hamilton trying his best to close that gap to Max Verstappen. Piastri then on now within touching distance of Lando Norris. Lando Norris has just turned up the heat a touch and has found a 10th or 2 on the last few laps and is just closing into within boost range once again. We'll see if Lando Norris can get there. Alex Albon. Oh, gets a little bit out of shape as he goes through turn 4, and bit of a snap for Alex Albon. Managed to keep the Williams car running though, and is 6 seconds adrift of his teammate Carlos Sainz ahead. So Albon in a little bit of a no man's land. Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez behind, not really any kind of problem. Oscar Piastri's just again lost a couple of tenths of a second to Lando Norris. A 125.7 from Lando Norris just closes in by a tenth or so again. Lewis Hamilton again going quick, a 125.8, but drops out a little bit to Verstappen. 27.0 from Liam Lawson, though. So again, falls... Oh, and Hamilton's going to pit now. So Hamilton's actually going to come out probably between Lawson and Lindblad here. It's a weird spot for Hamilton to try and pit into and come out of. Going to have to deal with a Racing Bulls car, but maybe those soft compound tyres just not working for Lewis Hamilton anymore. It's hard compound tyres and a 2.6 second stop. So Hamilton now drops down. Here comes Liam Lawson. Arvid Lindblad's just coming into the background as well. Hamilton needs to get out in front of Lindblad here. Oh, it's going to be close. I don't think they're going to do it. They're not going to do it. Hamilton is behind Lindblad. Oh, that is not where Ferrari needed to be. If they could get ahead of Lindblad, Hamilton needs to get ahead of Lindblad as soon as possible. Otherwise, he's going to be stuck behind the slightly slower Racing Bulls car, especially on fresh hard compound tyres. Come on, Lewis. To keep this competitive, you need to get past Lindblad here. Can't get past Lindblad as he goes up the hill towards turn 4. So it's going to be at least a lap for Lewis Hamilton, you would imagine. He's stuck behind Lindblad. No, he's being aggressive round the outside of turn 5. And Hamilton, with that fresh hard compound tyre, the rubber just sticking to the track. And Hamilton dispatches Lindblad. Okay, now Hamilton is in a good place. Little bit of clean air. 4 seconds to run into. And Max Verstappen is going to box. He's going to actually return the favour. So Verstappen, even though he has the medium compound tyre and could go longer, Red Bull realising that they're not really in a race with the McLaren cars ahead and deciding to just try and hold off for this third place. Charles Leclerc then continues on into the podium places. There's Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson as well. Here comes Hamilton, though. Hamilton has gone rapid in that first lap. Hamilton with those fresh tyres on. And Hamilton is going to be right alongside Verstappen. Verstappen's going to have to fight. And Hamilton gets it. Hamilton with the undercut there. Brilliant for Lewis Hamilton. And just about got ahead of Arvid Lindblad. That was so crucial from Lewis Hamilton and perfect from him. Needed to get ahead of Lindblad as soon as possible. Got it done at turn 5. A good middle sector from Lewis Hamilton as well. And comes out now ahead of Max Verstappen. Stunning from Ferrari. And now Hamilton has Liam Lawson for company. He's going to get the boost, though, to Liam Lawson very soon. Oh! And there's a slow-moving Valtteri Bottas trying to get towards the entrance of the pit lane. Oscar Piastri has just been given the pit call. But Valtteri Bottas is going very slowly through the pit lane. Let's hope that Bottas doesn't get in the way of Piastri here. And actually, Piastri, I think, continues on rather than boxing whilst Bottas is going slowly. And I think that makes perfect sense from the McLaren duo there. Neither of them coming in whilst Valtteri Bottas was just moving very, very slowly indeed through the pit lane. And is using the wall to actually slow down Valtteri Bottas and just about comes to a stop. I think the front left brake there is on fire as Lewis Hamilton now moves in front of Liam Lawson and Max Verstappen trying to do the same, but Max Verstappen actually diving up the inside of Hamilton. Hamilton caught sleeping by Verstappen, and Verstappen's up the inside. Hamilton through the pit stops, but Verstappen retakes the position, and Verstappen now ahead of Hamilton in 6th place. Verstappen just caught him sleeping there. I think Hamilton was focused on Liam Lawson. Yellow flag in the pit lane as they're moving Valtteri Bottas's car, so they're just delaying a few of those pit stops that wanted to happen. Oh, can Hamilton do something a little bit different here then? Let's have a little... Oh, Hamilton's in a weird spot now then. He just got caught sleeping. Just having a little look at it once again. And Hamilton, I think, is just preoccupied by looking at where Lawson is. And he doesn't quite get it. Piastri now comes into the pits then. So Piastri is now in. Piastri continues on then. Norris and Antonelli go. Charles Leclerc comes in to cover off as well. Let's see where Charles Leclerc comes out in all of this. There's Oscar Piastri still ahead of Verstappen and Hamilton. And Charles Leclerc, I think, is actually going to get behind Liam Lawson. So another Ferrari is going to have to deal with Liam Lawson there. And Verstappen on the radio. Getting a... And Max Verstappen actually... He's given the compliment by GP, saying that was a pretty special move. But Verstappen actually complains about Hamilton moving under braking. So... Verstappen not so happy with the maneuver. Norris leads then by 8.4 seconds to Antonelli. They're yet to have stopped. Hadjar also has continued on the medium compound tyre that he started with. Piastri, the leader of the Grand Prix, is pitted and now in P4. Verstappen P5, Hamilton P6. Liam Lawson has actually continued on. Lindblad hasn't pitted yet either, so the midfield car's deciding not to pit as of yet. Lando Norris now comes in from the lead of this Grand Prix, so Antonelli will lead unless Mercedes pull him into the pits. They don't. Antonelli does now take the lead of this Grand Prix. Here comes Piastri then, as Piastri fighting with Hadjar as they come down the back straight. Lando Norris will come out just behind Piastri, and Piastri's fighting with Hadjar. It's going to get a little bit messy, but there is Lando Norris. He is out of the pits, and he is behind Oscar Piastri once again. Can Piastri get past the Red Bull of Isaac Hadjar? I don't think so. So Hadjar does now come into play, because Hadjar can just slow Piastri down a little bit here if he can hold him behind as they get into the middle sector. Piastri looking at a move through turn 4. Doesn't get it done, though. Through turn 5, they come together. And Hadjar now is going to be able to close this gap, because he's going to be able to go pretty slowly through the middle sector. Just needs to be a bit careful, as Hamilton is now having a look at Verstappen again. There's a bit of a battle between those two, and there's no love lost between that duo. They know how to go wheel to wheel. Piastri now behind Hadjar then. Hadjar 12 seconds behind Antonelli. This helps out Antonelli a little bit here, because Hadjar is sort of slowing down this pack of cars that have already pitted. Is Hadjar going to pit now and move out of the way of this 4, or is they're going to be able to continue on. Piastri has a look at the inside of Isaac Hadjar, absolutely desperate to get past the Frenchman. He's got the tyres for the extra grip round turn 14. Just needs to be a little bit careful of Lando Norris behind as well, though. Isaac Hadjar now under pressure from Piastri. Piastri moves to the inside line, and Piastri's going to retake that position from Isaac Hadjar. Remember, Hadjar yet to have pitted. Can Lando Norris also jump the Red Bull car as well? Isaac Hadjar trying to fend off Lando Norris. Lando Norris trying to go around the outside at turn 2. And Lando Norris does indeed get that position back. Isaac Hadjar then doesn't slow up Max Verstappen at all, but does slot in between Verstappen and Hamilton. So Hamilton now stuck behind Isaac Hadjar, and Red Bull playing a little bit of a team game here. They've helped. Oh, and Hamilton not holding her back. Oh, and Hamilton trying to go around the outside of 5. Does about just do it. Whew, that's a couple of times now Hamilton has had to go around the outside at turn 5 as a little bit of a last-ditch maneuver. Hamilton gets it done, though. Very nice indeed from Lewis Hamilton. Hadjar now down to 6. Maybe Hadjar going for the one-stop strategy rather than the two-stop, because he's continued on once again. And let's see then. Piastri leads. Norris is within a second. Oops. There we go. Verstappen is actually looking pretty swift on these hard compound tyres, and Lando Norris is going to have to keep an eye behind. The hard compound tyres looking a lot better for Verstappen. Hadjar's done his job, so now peels into the pits for Red Bull. Hadjar will stop for some medium compound tyres. Is that going onto Isaac Hadjar's car? Be surprised if he goes medium. But I couldn't quite see on the tiny little display. Kimi Antonelli, 12.5 seconds now the lead that he has, but yet to have stopped. Is Antonelli going for the one-stop strategy here? Is he going to try and let Piastri close in that 12 seconds gap? Nico Hülkenberg now pits as well from the midfield pack. A lot of the midfield teams yet to have stopped. Lawson, Russell, Lindblad all still on the medium tyre. Bortoletto's on the soft compound tyre that he started the race on. So a lot of the guys... Ooh, a lot of the guys slotting in. Oh, it could be interesting. Piastri trying to keep Norris at bay. Norris actually looking pretty swift. Verstappen has dropped back a little bit on the restart. We need really strong pace this stint, so that doesn't work for him. Piastri is told over the radio that Antonelli likely going for the one-stop strategy. Need really strong pace from Piastri, so that's a little bit of a hurry up as Lando Norris now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix from second place. George Russell has finally caught the back of Liam Lawson as he's made his way through the midfield pack, and George Russell now trying to fight for 7th position. Still not... Oh, as it goes for it, and Russell does get that move done. It was looking a little bit tasty down towards turn 1, but Russell made it in the end. Lawson now drops to 8th place. Lindblad now pits for Racing Bulls. So some of the midfield pack starting to swap onto the one-stop strategy. Some of them maybe sticking with the 2. It's an interesting little development. We're going to have quite a lot of cars converge right at the end of the Grand Prix. Thank you for the super chat, Sarah Jane. Is the map broken? Unfortunately so, yeah. I mean, I can pop it up, but the data that's coming through from F1 is not great. Everybody's basically delta times seem to be a little bit broken, and also the track map doesn't quite know where everybody is all of the time. This does happen. Like, you got to remember that this information is coming from the circuit to Formula One. It's probably why we haven't seen the track map on the broadcast at all. Like, we haven't seen the track map once on the live broadcast. They usually pop the track map up, especially during pit stops, so you can see where the cars are. But we haven't actually seen the track map at all on the broadcast. So I'm thinking that it's actually just broken for everybody. And the Sky and sort of F1 broadcast are deciding to just not show it. Oh, and Lando Norris goes a little bit wide at turn 2. He was closing into the back of Oscar Piastri, but Just gives Piastri a little bit of breathing room there by making a mistake, and still is going to be within a second of his teammate, though. Lando Norris, though, escaping away from Max Verstappen. Verstappen now 2.3 seconds behind Norris. His pace originally looks pretty good on the hard compound tyres, Verstappen, but now just doesn't feel like he's in the same stratosphere as the McLaren cars ahead. And Antonelli is the one they've got their eyes on. 1.3 seconds gained from Piastri last lap on Antonelli. So they need another few laps just like that. And Antonelli's one-stop strategy will definitely not play, because effectively trying to... Oh, and Antonelli actually, I think, has maybe given up on that strategy as he now boxes. So Antonelli is in. 22 laps of the Grand Prix completed for him. Piastri is going to retake the lead of the Grand Prix. Lando Norris and Max Verstappen on the podium with him. And let's see where Antonelli is going to slot back into this race. There is the Red Bull and the two Ferraris. And Antonelli actually is just going to have to be a little bit careful of Sergio Perez there coming out of the Cadillac pits. So Antonelli, to be fair, Antonelli's going to have a nice little bit of clean air once he gets rid of Sergio Perez, who's just come out of the pits ahead of him but a lap down. Ooh, could be an interesting one for when it comes to this one. Oscar Piastri leading, as I say. Verstappen, 3.3 seconds is the gap between him and Lando Norris. So looking very good for a McLaren 1-2 once again here in Hungary. We do go very well at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Won the last couple. Looking for another 1-2 finish. Third in a row. But once again, looking like the driver who started on pole is not going to win the Grand Prix, as Oscar Piastri has taken that position from Lando Norris. Norris is still keeping Piastri earnest, though. Still within a second of his teammate. Make sure Piastri has to deliver every single lap. No mistakes from the Australian. And let's have a little check-in of the midfield pack, because George Russell yet to have stopped. Bortoleto and Alonso yet to have stopped as well. So Bortoleto, 22 laps on those soft compound tyres, is in 9th place. Lawson has just stopped, and Lindblad a couple of laps ago. So the RBs will kind of re-inherit those point-scoring positions. So it's looking like Lawson and Lindblad will be those final point scorers for Racing Bulls, moving them above Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. Hulkenberg then behind in 13th place, might just miss out on points once again. Be an 11th place finish for Nico Hulkenberg, and pretty devastating once again for the Audi man. Just always not quite there. Gasly 14th fastest at this moment in time. But remember, Bortoleto and Alonso need to pit. Just trying to see when they pit. Yeah, they're on a weird strategy, Bortoleto and Alonso. Not really sure what they're going for, because they on the soft compound tyres, and Liam Lawson is about to dispatch Fernando Alonso, so becomes less of a problem for him. And Lawson now with a nice little bit of clean air in 10th place. Bortoleto 7 seconds ahead, but yet to have stopped. So all looking good. Bottas DNF. Yes, Bottas is unfortunately out. Brake fire, front left tyre it looked like, and couldn't slow that Cadillac car down. Was sort of drifting it through down the pits, then actually ended up using the wall in the pit lane to slow the car to a stop. Piastri now continues on. Half a second now the gap. Lando Norris just made up 2.5 tenths in that last lap, as actually Kimi Antonelli now sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. 1:24.1 from Kimi Antonelli. Seems to have come to life a little bit on the new hard compound tyres that he's got on those cars. New hard compound tyre that he's got on the car. Alonso on 23-lap-old softs. Yeah, not sure what Bortoleto and Alonso are doing, to be honest with you. Like, Albon on the mediums, 23 laps, kind of makes a little bit of sense. But as I say, Alonso and Bortoleto are the ones I'm very unsure about, as Fernando Alonso is now going to basically move out of the way of Arvid Lindblad. Lindblad moves up into 11th, and Lawson and Lindblad looking like the final point scoring positions are going to be theirs, as Bortoleto yet to have stopped on the soft compound tyre and being caught at a rapid rate. Lawson was a second and a half quicker than Bortoleto just last lap. So looking very unlikely that Bortoleto will hold on to that 9th place, especially as he hasn't yet stopped. But here we are then. Piastri and Norris continue on down towards turn 1. Lando Norris is just closing into the rear wing of his teammate once again. He was pretty negative over the radio, I would say, Lando Norris, and was sort of talking about how Piastri wasn't going very quick. Now it's his opportunity to show it. Can Lando Norris overtake his teammate out on track? Piastri on the radio. Plan a target lap. The rear doesn't feel great, though, Piastri says over the radio. So Piastri already struggling a little bit for grip, and Lando Norris thriving as Piastri actually dips his tyres into the dust, and actually you can see the graining already on the rear left tyre of Oscar Piastri's car. Charles Leclerc now 1 second behind Hamilton. Hamilton's kind of fallen away from Verstappen. The hard compound tyre on the Ferrari doesn't seem to be the best tyre for them. Charles Leclerc, though, is finding a little bit more pace than his teammate, and Charles Leclerc just a 1/10 of a second or so quicker last lap. Will get himself within boost range if he can do that once again. We've got Piastri still. Yeah, just Norris not quite there. Gets to within half a second and then just loses a 1/10. Just Lando Norris. And Charles Leclerc on the radio saying that he's losing quite a bit of time. Maybe asking for a nice little Ferrari team orders in his favour. Maybe allowing him to just shuffle past Lewis Hamilton. Charles Leclerc expected to be under threat from Kimi Antonelli within the next 5 laps, though. So probably why Charles Leclerc's a little bit worried is Antonelli is behind. Antonelli has 6 lap fresher hard compound tyres and is lapping quicker. Charles Leclerc with a 125.7. Antonelli a 124.4. Antonelli has really clicked into gear. Now he's on these hard compound tyres. Charles Leclerc continues on. I'll put the track back up for people that are asking, but it's not going to help you. Leclerc and Hamilton, yeah, they are really quite losing a lot of time to Antonelli behind. Like, if Charles Leclerc is the quicker Ferrari, might need to do him a favour here. But I don't think he's that much quicker than Hamilton is a problem. Like, he's a second behind. It's not like he's within proper touching distance of Lewis Hamilton. The Ferrari pace has just fallen off a cliff on these hard compound tyres in comparison to their competitors, it has to be said. Like, I know that Piastri and Norris are doing similar lap times, but Antonelli is absolutely flying in 6th spot. George Russell is now coming into the pit lane. He hasn't yet stopped. Those medium tyres doing 27 laps. Hard compound tyres go on to George Russell's car, and they're maybe seeing the fact that Antonelli is doing so well on the hard compound tyre and just thinking, you know what, there's a little bit of a gap that we can pit George Russell into. Gabriel Bortoleto is going to make his way past, but won't be too tricky to overtake. And now George Russell's going to come out, still ahead of the Racing Bulls cars. It's a nice little gap that George Russell's got himself into there. And actually, as long as he can keep Liam Lawson behind as they go through turn 2 and turn 3, which I think he just about can, lovely stuff, means that actually George Russell's now going to be able to unleash the pace of the Mercedes car a little bit here. Verstappen has fallen 4 seconds behind Lando Norris, looking really good when it comes to Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris getting a 1-2 here. They just seem to be on another level on these hard compound tyres compared to their sort of closest competitors. Verstappen, Hamilton, Leclerc are all just that little bit slower and just can't quite find the pace. You look at the lap times coming in, 25 dead from Norris, 25.1 from Piastri. Hamilton's 0.4 of a second slower than that. To be fair, Leclerc is still putting in 25.1s, but Hamilton struggling, Verstappen more or less sort of falling backwards. It's not quite where they want to be. And then, as Lando Norris goes into the runoff area, and that's going to allow Oscar Piastri to breathe a little sigh of relief, as Norris is now not going to be within touching distance. Maybe just a little bit of dirty air playing into that for Lando Norris. A little mistake as he went up towards turn 4, went wide. It's going to be a track limits violation as well for Lando Norris that he needs to be a bit careful of. But Lando Norris now 2 seconds adrift of Piastri, and Piastri's got a little bit of room to play with all of a sudden. Let's have a little look at the onboard. Oh, just a bit of a tailwind, yeah. Pushes him off the track effectively. Just goes that little bit wide. Doesn't quite hit the brakes enough. Lando Norris. And now it's whether or not he can get back within touching distance of his teammate. Can he get within boost range once again? 30 laps of this Grand Prix completed. Thank you guys so much for watching, I should say. If we could hit a like on the YouTube stream, that'd be absolutely amazing. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. Trying to hit 200,000 subscribers by the end of the season. And of course, if you're watching on Twitch, hit that follow button. If you've got a Twitch Prime, it's completely and utterly free to subscribe to the channel and really does help out massively with everything that we do. Lando Norris on the radio. Back in the rhythm, please. Asking Lando Norris to just get back going once again. Maybe a little bit of a... Maybe Lando Norris has just been trying to do something a little bit sneaky to catch up to the back of Oscar Piastri, but Lando Norris, that mistake at turn 4, and just being told by his engineer, calm it down, get back into the rhythm, keep it going once again. Here we go, Charles Leclerc. Can we do something different strategy-wise? So Charles Leclerc not very happy about just being stuck behind Lewis Hamilton, it feels like, for him. Can we do something strategy-wise? Hamilton's boxing. What? Hamilton box with 2 pit stops within the first 30 laps. This is going to be like a 4-stop for Lewis Hamilton or something crazy. He's going to have to stop at least one more time. So it's going to be at least a 3-stop for Lewis Hamilton. But hating those hard compound tyres. And it's not good news because it's another set of hard compound tyres. So I think just not having the best of time, Lewis Hamilton, at all. Maybe just wants a little bit of clean air. He's going to come out still ahead of Isaac Hadjar, I think, in all of this. Yes. Oh, they've done it again at Ferrari. They've just mistimed it. Hamilton wanted to get out in front of Isaac Hadjar, and they haven't been able to do it again. Okay. That is not good for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, by the way. He came out behind Liam Lawson after the first pit stop. He's come out behind Isaac Hadjar after the second pit stop. So he's now going to have to do another, dream maneuver to get past the Red Bull, or he's going to be stuck behind the Red Bull for a lap. And it's looking like it's going to be the latter of those two, as he can't get around the outside of turn 5. So Hadjar is now going to be holding up Hamilton as they make their way through the middle sector. It's also not great to be trying to warm up your tyres whilst fighting with another car in front of you. Oh, Hamilton. That is not a good stop from Ferrari. Isaac Hadjar is just going to make that Red Bull as wide as humanly possible. Hadjar's actually run wide through turn 13, but Hamilton can't get round the inside there, and turn 14 as well. So Hadjar's done a good job at holding off Hamilton until then. Surely Hamilton is going to be able to make a move down towards turn 1, though. The fresh hard compound tyre, the faster Ferrari car, and he does indeed get past Lewis Hamilton up into 6th place for now. But surely he's going to have to stop again, Lewis Hamilton, and was told the outlap was critical over the radio, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, it's also critical that when you pit someone, they don't get stuck in traffic, but Lando Norris on the radio. Hamilton stuck behind Hadjar. Lando Norris being told he just wants something, Lando Norris. He's caught back up to Oscar Piastri once again, and Lando Norris, the frustration still in his voice. He knows, I think, that he's quicker than Oscar Piastri. I think Lando Norris is quicker than Oscar Piastri, just not quick enough to really make a move, and that's the thing, right? Got to do the best race for the team, and Lando Norris being told over the radio once again. And Lando asking for the pit stop, and we can't, I'm afraid, is that they've probably asked Oscar Piastri if he'll allow Lando Norris to stop, and Piastri will have said, absolutely not. So, Lando Norris again on the radio. And again, just complaining. He knows that he's quicker. He knows that the team won't let him stop. He's miles faster, he says over the radio. And I have to agree. I think Lando Norris is the quicker of the two McLaren cars, but you can understand Piastri gets the call here. Piastri is the driver in front, and therefore Piastri gets the call on when the pit stops happen. And then very harsh words coming from Lando Norris now, saying that he'd be able to pull out a 10-second gap easily on the right tyres. Piastri, though, is boxing, so that's why they didn't want to, or they couldn't pit Lando Norris last lap, is because Piastri was going to come in this lap, and they didn't want to give Lando Norris the better pit stop of the two McLarens, because Piastri is leading. Let's see then, Lando, can you get an overcut here? If you're miles quicker, it's going to be trickier, because you're on the slightly more scrubbed tyres, but let's see what Lando Norris can do. Now leads the Grand Prix from Max Verstappen in second. Piastri does pit. Charles Leclerc goes past. Antonelli goes past. Lewis Hamilton still making his way through the final sector, though, is going to be a distance off. And George Russell also trying to get some forward momentum going. He's on those hard compound tyres and actually is lapping really quick. George Russell, 124.1 from him last time around, matching the lap times of the cars in front and going a lot quicker than actually Isaac Hadjar, who's the car ahead, but Hadjar is 11 seconds ahead. Piastri came out 3 seconds ahead of Hamilton still. Is Lando Norris going to continue on then? Does he back himself to get that pace going, or does he want fresh tyres as well? Maybe he'll go a little bit longer, try and get a bit of a tyre delta to Oscar Piastri if possible, but could get quite tasty between the two McLarens towards the end of the race. I imagine Lando Norris is going to get to the point where he just goes for an overtake, whether Piastri and McLaren like it or not. Charles Leclerc now under pressure from Kimi Antonelli, and Antonelli has just been slowly pumping in really good lap times behind that we haven't really focused on too much. Antonelli now within a second of Charles Leclerc, 6-lap fresher hard compound tyres on the Mercedes car as well. The Ferrari on the hard compound tyre just does not look anywhere close to the pace it had at the beginning of the race on the mediums, and we had Hamilton right underneath the rear wing of Verstappen for so long, and now the Ferrari feels like it's falling away. Antonelli, the Italian driver, catching up to the Italian team, and Charles Leclerc is going to feel Antonelli right underneath his rear wing very soon. Antonelli closing in, not able to do it this time around though. Antonelli still fourth, Charles Leclerc third as it stands. Oscar Piastri has though pitted recently, so has Lewis Hamilton, so those cars will move back ahead of this pack. We've got Carlos Sainz now in the way a little bit. Lando Norris, actually, the predicted gap, if he were to pit right now, and it was a perfect pit stop for the McLaren team, would come out a couple of tenths of a second quicker or ahead of Oscar Piastri. It's going to be very tight between the two McLarens. I think Piastri just keeping an eye on Lando Norris's lap times. Hamilton saying we are fighting for position with Max, so Hamilton being given the go-ahead. Go at it. Go for it, Lewis Hamilton. We need to get ahead of Max Verstappen first. Then we can worry about the tyres and what they do from the end. Charles Leclerc also keeping an eye on Antonelli behind. As Antonelli, he is closer this time around as they go down towards turn one. Antonelli's going to have just a little look at the Ferrari car up the inside towards turn 1, but not this time around. Maybe down towards turn 2. There's a little bit of smoke or vapor coming off the back of the Ferrari car from Charles Leclerc. That could be pretty negative if there's something not quite right with the power unit inside of that Ferrari car, but is able to escape away from Antonelli through the first sector for now. Holds on to that position and currently a podium place, Charles Leclerc. Max Verstappen, 5 seconds behind Lando Norris. Then another few seconds once more to Charles Leclerc, 6 seconds behind Verstappen. In fact, if Lando Norris were to pit now, he would come out just in front of Lewis Hamilton by the looks of things. So Hamilton's an interesting one to keep an eye on as well, because Hamilton's right there. Verstappen also hasn't yet pitted, but Lando, I think Hamilton will jump Verstappen now, right? Yeah, Hamilton is ahead of Verstappen on the road if Verstappen were to pit right now. Charles Leclerc is getting the box call as Antonelli is all over the rear wing of the Ferrari car, and Charles Leclerc obliges, moves into the pit lane, and Kimi Antonelli now slots himself up into the podium places for this moment. It's looking close. Looking like a 3-stop strategy for Lewis Hamilton, though. And again, a second stop for Charles Leclerc already. We're only just over halfway through the Grand Prix. Of course, the cars do get lighter. There's less fuel. Of course, the track does rubber in as well. It does help with tyre degradation as you get further and further through the race. But still very early couple of stops from the two Ferrari cars. Piastri obviously covered off Lewis Hamilton by stopping and has continued on and done 3 laps on those hard compound tyres without Lando Norris breathing down his neck. Charles Leclerc then comes out of the pits and is behind Isaac Hadjar. Hadjar has only pitted once though and has already done 17 laps on those hard compound tyres. So you would imagine Charles Leclerc will have the run at Isaac Hadjar and be able to get back past that Red Bull sometime soon. Tell you what though, George Russell's continuing to do some pretty good laps. That gap between Hadjar and Russell was 11 seconds, now down to 6. So Russell continuing on and Russell trying to get another couple of points on the board if possible. Hoping that maybe Kimi Antonelli has a bit more of a fight on his hands, because Antonelli is looking really good and will be likely battling with the Ferraris for a possible podium. Max Verstappen in there as well. The two McLaren cars playing it out for first and second place as it stands. Charles Leclerc is now right underneath the rear wing of Isaac Hadjar. Surely those tyres are going to give him just enough grip to continue, and does indeed. The Ferrari quicker in a straight line just gets that job done down towards turn 1, and Charles Leclerc moves past Isaac Hadjar, and Hadjar now down back into 7th place. Remember though, Hadjar hasn't pitted for a second time. Charles Leclerc, those fresh, hard compound tyres playing into his favour. Let's have a little look. Oscar Piastri has just found himself in a bit of a weird place, because Piastri with so much traffic to contend with, and actually Lewis Hamilton is closing into the back of Oscar Piastri here. Hamilton's found a lot more pace on those hard compound tyres this second time around. Don't know what it was with that first set of hard compound tyres, but didn't look anywhere close to the pace he's got now. Piastri actually looking in his wing mirrors, seeing Lewis Hamilton is right there. Piastri on the radio. And just so much traffic. Basically, the complaint from Piastri, just could the traffic please get out of the way? So many lapped cars that he's having to make his way through. Let's see then. Oh, and it was a battle. He's lost so much time because there was a fight between an Aston Martin and it's Stroll maybe, and I know Alonso, sorry, and Sainz. Oh, and they touch. Carlos Sainz actually hits into Oscar Piastri. Wow, that might actually cost him the Grand Prix win here. Carlos Sainz doesn't see Oscar Piastri coming, and Carlos Sainz nearly wipes the front end. Piastri's kind of got fairly lucky there that hasn't damaged the McLaren car. And actually, this is going to play perfectly for Lando Norris. Lando Norris is going to be able to box here and actually will come out ahead of Oscar Piastri if it's a good stop. Lando Norris, a really good stint from him, actually. That final few laps, once he was released from behind Piastri, he wasn't lying. He was the quicker of the two McLaren cars, just whether or not he could deliver on that pace when he was given the opportunity to. And Lando Norris has done that. Piastri has also now had a collision with Carlos Sainz. And I think Piastri is going to be a little bit hard done by here. That collision with Carlos has cost him a couple of seconds. And that couple of seconds is going to mean Lando Norris is going to come out of the pit lane. Here comes Oscar Piastri around the final corner. But Norris is ahead by a comfortable margin. And into turn one he goes. And Piastri is going to be in second spot behind Lando Norris. Of course, Verstappen and Antonelli ahead because they've yet to have stopped. But Lando Norris now takes the effective lead of this Grand Prix. Let's see what Piastri can do from behind his teammate then. Hamilton 1.6 seconds behind as well. I was wondering how Hamilton had closed that gap to Piastri so quickly, and it was just because Piastri dealing with traffic. Carlos Sainz nearly takes off the front wing of Oscar Piastri's car. It was very close. Carlos Sainz under investigation now, but it's not going to do Piastri any favours. And let's have a little look at Ollie Behrman as well, as now been in a little battle. Nope, just a spin at turn 2 for Ollie Behrman. Loses the rear end of the Haas car and has to reset and recalibrate. Rejoins the track. Oh, and Lewis Hamilton actually darting up the inside of Fernando Alonso's car. Nearly another collision between a front runner and a back marker, as Lewis Hamilton nearly comes into contact with Fernando Alonso. Goodness me. Here we are then. Max Verstappen is actually leading this Grand Prix. Is 3 seconds ahead of Kimi Antonelli. Antonelli is going about a second a lap quicker, though. So Antonelli is going to be right on Max Verstappen if he doesn't pit in a few laps' time. Lando Norris versus Oscar Piastri. Piastri is just slotted in behind his teammate, and actually it's 2.1 seconds adrift. So Lando Norris clearly the quicker. And Oscar Piastri and Oscar Piastri not very happy at all. And Piastri frustrated. Like, he's going to be annoyed. He's a little bit annoyed at the team, obviously, because he had to deal with the back markers and the traffic. But at the same time, they wouldn't have expected Carlos Sainz to do that. You know, the team would have expected Carlos Sainz to move out of the way fairly swiftly, not swipe into the front of the car. And Lando Norris is going to disappear into the distance now. Lando is the quicker of the two McLaren cars this weekend. It's kind of played against us having any kind of battle for the victory here, I would say, as Lando Norris is now just going to be able to stretch his legs. Max Verstappen continues, and into the pits Max Verstappen comes. Antonelli continues on then to take the lead of this Grand Prix. Max Verstappen stops. And it's soft compound tyres, I think, there for Max Verstappen at the quick glance that I had. Verstappen's going to come out behind the two Ferraris, right? I think Charles Leclerc's also going to get the jump on Verstappen, or at least it's going to be very close. It's going to be very, very close. Here comes Charles Leclerc. And Verstappen actually a little bit of a lock-up as he realises that Charles Leclerc is coming at him. Charles Leclerc's going to be right under the rear wing going into turn 2. Can the Ferrari get the better of the position? Sweeps up the inside. Not this time around. Max Verstappen closes the door, and Charles Leclerc thought Charles Leclerc might get the jump there, but actually Charles Leclerc coming out behind Verstappen in all of that. Verstappen on some soft compound tyres. Charles Leclerc 5-lap-old hards. Oh my goodness. Lando Norris is going to win this Grand Prix then. Piastri likely to come in second. Hamilton has fallen away from Oscar Piastri in all of this. Verstappen now on a set of softs versus Hamilton on 11-lap-old hard compound tyres. Be interesting to see if Hamilton does want to go to the end on these hard compound tyres. Pitted quite early if he is planning on going the full distance. But wanted to pit early. Maybe Verstappen's also got another pit stop planned. Everyone's kind of going slightly against what I was effectively seeing the grain being in this one. I think the tyre deg has just been a lot higher than a lot of the teams would have expected. Hamilton continues on. Verstappen, 8 seconds adrift of the Ferrari. Let's see what Hamilton's lap times are like compared to Verstappen in the next couple of laps, because Verstappen now feels like he's got a gap to Leclerc. Lando Norris being told on the radio, catching Antonelli, but just be a little bit careful of when you come up to the Italian. Just be a bit measured. And when you go for that overtaking maneuver, 2.5 seconds the gap between Antonelli and Norris, but Norris was 1.7 seconds quicker last lap than the Italian, so it's not going to be very long at all until Lando Norris is right under the rear wing of the Mercedes car. Piastri has fallen miles behind Lando Norris now, to be fair. 5.6 seconds the gap at the front. Hamilton then another 2.7 seconds behind. Just keeping an eye on Verstappen's lap times as he's now coming through the final sector. We'll see how much closer he is to Hamilton after this lap compared to last. Although soft compound tyres for Verstappen is an interesting choice. They are a scrubbed set of softs. They would have been used in qualifying yesterday. Verstappen deciding that they're the best ones around. And Max Verstappen not very happy with that tyre choice of softs, as he says that they are already not working in the way that he wants them to, and he's only been on them for a lap. Let's have a little look, though. He was 0.3 of a second quicker than Lewis Hamilton. Does need to be a little bit more than that if he's going to have a proper run at the back of the Ferrari car. But Lewis Hamilton will also be putting in defensive maneuvers, and we'll see that Max Verstappen's putting in those lap times and start to hurry himself up a little bit. Car number one starting to find the current championship number one, Kimi Antonelli. And there he is, right underneath the rear wing of the Mercedes car already. Lando Norris just needs to time it right. Coming through the final sector now. Lando Norris looking for his first win of the season. Coming around. And it's not impossible here. Lando Norris could go for a move on this lap. Just has much, much better grip and seemingly the quicker car this weekend as well. Lando Norris not quite able to do it down towards turn 1. We've seen Lewis Hamilton make moves into turn 5, though, throughout this Grand Prix, so it's not done and dusted as of yet for Kimi Antonelli to hold on to that first spot for now. Of course, Antonelli likely to pit once again. Lando Norris projected to just stay on these hard compound tyres until the end. Here they go up towards turn 4. Is Lando Norris going to make a move there? Not this time around. What about through turn 5? Does he decide to do the Hamilton maneuver? He doesn't. So likely to be stuck behind Antonelli this lap then, Lando Norris. Norris, though, a 7-second gap to Oscar Piastri behind. I don't think we'll be too worried about losing one lap behind Antonelli. And it's looking like a fairly comfortable win for Lando Norris overall, unless we get some kind of safety car or a red flag that squishes the pack up once again. Antonelli trying his best to keep Lando Norris at bay, but Lando Norris is using the final couple of corners to really squeeze underneath the rear wing. Both Mercedes power units, of course, so same power pushing them down this straight down towards turn 1. Can he get it done? Moves to the inside. It's a late maneuver from Lando Norris, and he's gone a little bit deep and goes wide. And actually, Kimi Antonelli is able to get back up the inside, and Antonelli, I think, might be able to hold on to it. No, Lando Norris then goes up the inside of turn 2. And a little bit of extra grip on the inside there. And Lando Norris retakes the lead of this Grand Prix. Started on pole, of course, and has waited until 46 laps to retake the lead overall. He's on the same strategy as his teammate. He's 7 seconds ahead of him, and he's now leading this race. Let's have a little look then Antonelli, a 124.5. Piastri's only a couple of tenths quicker than Antonelli, so it's going to be a little while before Piastri closes into the back of Antonelli if Antonelli's going to go all the way to the end on these hard compound tyres. I would have thought that they were going to pit again at Mercedes, but Antonelli might try and go all the way to the end. I'd be very, very surprised. Could be Max Verstappen who gets in that final podium place. Verstappen, 6.8 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. Is closing the gap, was 0.7 of a second quicker last lap, Max Verstappen. That's a lot more like it. I think we could see a McLaren Red Bull podium here for the final race before the summer break. No Ferraris, no Mercedes would not be on my bingo card. Antonelli will be pitting fairly soon, you'd imagine. Where will Antonelli come out? He's 3 seconds off the lead, so 20 seconds plus. He'll be just behind Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli, if he were to pit now. Still ahead of his teammate George Russell by a significant margin, though. Oof. So, Antonelli versus Leclerc could be a little battle we get towards the end. Welcome back to 2025. It's nice, isn't it? It's nice. Good little McLaren 1-2. It's looking very comfy. Verstappen closing in. Verstappen is closing in, yeah. The problem is he's on a soft compound tyre. I'm just not sure how long those softs are going to last. And then he's got to do the business. So he's closing in, but actually was a little bit further off last lap. Wasn't quite the 0.7 quicker. Was only 3 and a bit tenths quicker last lap. Max Verstappen. Antonelli won't pit while Ferrari pit. The problem is Antonelli is on 25-lap-old hard compound tyres, so they are a lot older than, well, Lando Norris ahead is on the nicest set of hard compound tyres of the lot, so Lando Norris in a different realm of his own this weekend. He's properly getting away from the rest of the pack. Antonelli then behind 25 laps on those hard compound tyres. Surely can't go to the end on those. Be a real ordeal for him. And especially because he could just pit now and be pretty quick. He could be right on top of Leclerc pretty much straight away. Maybe he's kind of hoping that Leclerc... No, because he's going slower than Charles Leclerc. I was going to say, if Antonelli pits now, he'll be on the back of Charles Leclerc really swiftly. Then he's also got Max Verstappen ahead. And Verstappen's not miles ahead of Leclerc. A couple of seconds. Hamilton's then another 6 seconds up the road. It's not impossible that Antonelli could sneak a podium place here by doing something a little bit different. But then he could also do that without pitting, right? So Piastri isn't closing in that quickly. Neither's Hamilton or Verstappen. Tell you what, Antonelli might just sort of worm his way into a podium place here if Mercedes just do this a little bit right. They've kind of... Everyone else has played themselves a touch, right? Ferrari have sort of wanted to pit a lot so that they can get a little bit of a tyre delta initially and try and do some undercutting. And Red Bull have always kind of covered off Ferrari. They haven't really been thinking about Mercedes. And then Mercedes and Antonelli have just kind of snuck in there. Oh, Antonelli on the radio. Ooh, track limits. Kimi Antonelli being told about. That is his second strike. Albon and Sainz with 3 strikes. Antonelli with 2. Bortoleto 2. Colapinto 2. So just need to be a little bit careful of those track limits. And also, we didn't catch up on Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz was given a 5-second penalty for that collision with Oscar Piastri. So Oscar Piastri, as much as that cost him the lead, it's also cost Carlos Sainz 5 seconds. Are those equivalent to one another? Absolutely not, but that's unfortunately the regulations that they are, and Antonelli will benefit from that because Antonelli now ahead of Oscar Piastri, 4.6 seconds the gap. Piastri is not catching Antonelli. The last lap, he was actually slower than Kimi Antonelli by 100th of a second. Oh, and Leclerc under investigation now for a little yellow flag infringement. So Charles Leclerc will be an interesting one to keep an eye on as well. Okay, it's starting to get a little bit more interesting. Antonelli's in kind of an odd place, but actually Antonelli again quicker than Piastri last lap. Piastri's really struggling, and Antonelli is flying compared to Piastri, considering his tyres are way older. Piastri really does not have the pace this weekend. Like, Lando Norris was not wrong when he said he was clearly the quicker McLaren car. Ooh. 4.5 seconds, though, the gap between Antonelli and Piastri. Lando Norris now nearly 10 seconds ahead of his teammate. In fact, just ticked over to 10 seconds ahead of his teammate. So Norris is going to win this race. That's pretty done and dusted. Oh, yellow flag. Oh, who is that then? Yellow flag, sector 2. Oh, I think maybe Sergio Perez going very, very slowly. Is Sergio Perez going very, very slowly indeed. Is he going to coast it? Something's flapping on the suspension. That's never a great sign. And Sergio Perez's car, I think, once again has imploded itself into a DNF. Valtteri Bottas's brakes caught fire, so both Cadillac cars limping their way to a DNF, it seems. It feels like Perez is going to try and get his car back to the pit lane, though, so we won't have any kind of yellow flags too much so, or any kind of safety car to contend with. Yeah, Perez is... The Cadillac engineers just making their way out towards to catch that car as it comes in by the looks of things. It's going to be... Oh, yeah, just on the right front of Sergio Perez's car. Something not quite in the right place. Okay, a little bit aggressive. Oh, just turn 5. Oh, and yeah, look at that left front tyre. That's not holding on by any means. That is definitely something that suspension has gone. The front left tyre is not even connecting to the steering anymore. So Perez pulls into the pits, and that is going to be a double DNF for the Cadillac boys to round out their first half in a Formula 1 season. I'll tell you what, they haven't done too badly. Considering all of the things that you have to get right when you come into Formula 1 for the first time, they're the only car that's on there that's brand new to the sport. You know, if there was a 12th team that joined at the same time as Cadillac, then maybe we'd have someone to compare them to. But to be honest, like, the fact that they've finished races, the fact that they've got a few cars to the checkered flag a few times, that's good enough. That's good enough for Cadillac. The pace will come. They'll get more competitive. That will happen in a few years' time. But for now, they've got a car. It generally works most of the time, sometimes. And they can take a lot of positives from these first 11 races. But it is a double DNF for Cadillac. Oscar Piastri, 3.7 seconds now the gap. He started to step it up a little bit. I think Piastri's just probably been given the go-ahead to start putting the lap times in. Maybe they were expecting Antonelli to pit, so they were just sort of taking it a little bit easy. But I think Piastri might have to get past Antonelli on the road here. I think Antonelli might just go very long on those hard compound tyres. It's 0.6 of a second slower than Lewis Hamilton as well, though, Kimi Antonelli. So all those cars are slowly catching. Hamilton is also being caught by Verstappen. Verstappen was 0.4 of a second quicker than Hamilton last time around. In fact, they're just about to come past the start-finish line now. And Hamilton, again, is 0.5 down on Verstappen. So 3.7 seconds the gap. Could be 5-7 laps until Verstappen is fighting Lewis Hamilton once again. As long as he can hold on to those soft compound tyres. And Charles Leclerc has actually fallen a little while away. Leclerc was a couple of seconds adrift of Verstappen, but the Red Bull with much more pace. And Charles Leclerc now 6 seconds behind Max Verstappen in 5th. George Russell has been able to sort of scramble his way back up into 7th place. and is actually 8 seconds ahead of Isaac Hadjar. And then in the final point scoring places, maybe not who you're expecting, Arvid Lindblad is there for Racing Bulls. He's done 31 laps on those hard compound tyres, and I think might be asked to go to the end on those tyres. Arvid Lindblad is being caught, though, by Gabriel Bortoletto, but Gabriel Bortoletto is similarly being caught by Liam Lawson. Liam Lawson is a lap down, though. Gabriel Bortoletto will be overtaken by our race leader, Lando Norris, shortly. And Antonelli asking... Oh, Antonelli's pitting! Antonelli asking, why can't we go to the end? And Bono just saying the tyres just wouldn't last, Kimi. You did a really good job, and it was a great stint from Kimi Antonelli there. But yeah, they would maybe not have been able to get all the way to the end there. There is Charles Leclerc making his way down the start-finish straight. So Antonelli is going to come out behind Charles Leclerc. I'll tell you what, it's not terrible for Kimi Antonelli. He's got 17 laps now to have a little run at Charles Leclerc. And depending on how quick these tyres are compared to the scrub sets of Hamilton... Oh. And Lando Norris being told on the radio just to calm it down a touch, I think is just proving a point, maybe Lando Norris, or just enjoying being in first place once again. But has been told now to actually slow down by the McLaren team. And to be fair, he's putting in ridiculous lap times. He's in a 1:23.9, Lando Norris. He was 0.6 of a second quicker than Oscar Piastri last lap. He's 12 seconds ahead of his teammate overall. Lando Norris is absolutely flying. And it just doesn't need to put in the lap times that he is, to be fair. So I can kind of understand the McLaren team just being like, whoa, let's just make sure that we get this to the end. Like we're putting a lot of stress through the car that we really don't need to. Lando Norris gives a little wave to Gabriel Bortoletto, who does let Lando Norris by and is the next car to be lapped. Arvid Lindblad next up on the list for Lando Norris. Piastri released into second place. Hamilton is still 2 seconds behind, but Hamilton will be looking backwards rather than forwards as Verstappen now within 3 seconds of Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari car. Charles Leclerc also will have a little eye on his wing mirrors because Charles Leclerc 3 seconds the gap to Antonelli behind. Keep an eye on Antonelli's lap time once he comes round and does like a full lap. George Russell comes into the pits for Mercedes. Again, probably expecting that they wouldn't be able to do another 16 laps on those hards. They were 27 laps old. So Russell pitting now and we'll have a run at Isaac Hadjar. Potential for P2 is Kimi Antonelli being told by Bono on the radio. So Antonelli, they think that Charles Leclerc, even though there's an 8-second gap between Verstappen and Leclerc, they're expecting some monster pace from Kimi Antonelli in this final stint. And to be fair, he's just gone quickest of anybody through the first sector with a 28.9. Come on then, Kimi. Let's see your claws. Need to put something together here. This could be a world champion drive if Kimi Antonelli can put that together in a Mercedes car that just has not looked as quick as the McLarens and the Ferraris so far this weekend, and with a three-place grid penalty on him as well. Piastri's going slowly. No! There's a problem with Piastri's car. Hamilton has just overtaken him for second place, and Piastri has peeled to the right-hand side of the track. And that's going to be a DNF. Lost the gearbox for Oscar Piastri, and he is out of this Grand Prix. It is not going to be a 1-2 for McLaren. Why? Why is the words. Virtual safety car. I think everybody's kind of done their pit stops, though. I don't think this virtual safety car will play into anybody's hands specifically. Let's have a little look then. Down towards turn 1, and it gets very clunky indeed. And then the upshifts towards turn 2 are not smooth. You can just see Oscar Piastri jumping around as the car jolting from one gear to the next. Lando Norris does decide to take the opportunity to pit there, and I think he did have a free pit stop to Lewis Hamilton behind. There you go. There's the reason that Lando Norris was putting in fastest lap after fastest lap for you. Just got enough of a gap, although Hamilton also comes into pit now as well. It's played against Kimi Antonelli, this, because Antonelli had that huge tyre delta to everybody else, but Antonelli is now going to be on the same tyres as everybody else effectively, as Charles Leclerc also comes into the pits as well. Verstappen now ahead then. Verstappen's going to be P2. Antonelli is going to jump both of the Ferraris to P3. So both of the Ferraris deciding that the fresh tyres is what they want. Hamilton... Oh, and Hamilton actually comes out ahead of Antonelli. I thought Antonelli was going to be ahead of Hamilton there. A little bit of a fight down towards turn 1, but I think Hamilton maybe beat him to the safety car line. Virtual safety car is now ending. So Kimi Antonelli is right underneath the rear wing of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton needs to get a wiggle on if he wants to get back past Max Verstappen, who's 10 seconds up the road. It's a little bit of a virtual safety car swap around. I thought that the virtual safety car would sort of change nothing, really, but Ferrari deciding that they want to take the opportunity to pit and get some soft compound tyres on their cars. Max Verstappen stayed out. Antonelli obviously had only just pitted. Let's have a little look. Ooh. That line there across the track. I think just unlucky for Antonelli there. Literally a 10th of a second either way, and he'd have been ahead of Lewis Hamilton. But Antonelli on the radio asking, was he ahead at the line? It's very, very close. And the angle that we saw doesn't really help us to see whether or not he was first across that line. So it could be Kimi P3 fairly soon, but Hamilton on some fresh soft compound tyres. Oh, and Hamilton's going slowly. Oh, he's giving the position back. He was. So Antonelli was ahead at the line then. So Antonelli just ahead. He was super close between Antonelli and Hamilton as to who would be where. That safety car line, though, dictates who should be in front or behind. So Ferrari have told Hamilton to give the position back. He has indeed done that. But is now a second place up for grabs. Oscar Piastri out of this Grand Prix. Drops down to 20th place with the two Cadillacs in the garage. And now it is Antonelli who could pick up a podium place. Or is Lewis Hamilton going to be able to get back past Verstappen on 19-lap-old soft compound tyres? Still a way to go here. Still 12 laps left of this Grand Prix once Lando Norris comes across the start-finish line. So it's not done and dusted for second position as of now. Lando Norris has won. That's done and dusted. Like, unless he has a problem similar to Piastri, Lando Norris has got this in the bag. Verstappen, Antonelli, Hamilton is a nice little battle, though. Charles Leclerc, whether or not he'll be able to close the gap to Antonelli, probably not. Antonelli on fresh tyres. Not really sure why they pitted Leclerc, to be honest with you, but there we are. 5-second penalty for Ollie Behrman for ignoring blue flags. So Lando Norris clearly having a battle with Behrman, and Behrman deciding that he wants to make the afternoon just a little bit harder for Lando Norris at the end of this race. Can we talk about Stroll in the top half? I mean, yeah, 12th place at the moment, Lance Stroll. I think it's a bit of a weird one because Lance Stroll is 20-lap-old soft compound tyres. Pierre Gasly should be able to get back past him, although I don't know if Colapinto will. No, Colapinto's on hard compound tyres. So yeah, Stroll actually P13 effectively, I feel like, will be where he ends up. And actually, Fernando Alonso P15, very good aerodynamically from the Aston Martin team. That upgrade working a little bit of a treat, but still not enough in terms of, like, once we get the Honda power unit upgrade as well, we'll kind of be able to really judge where Aston Martin are, but certainly a good afternoon of racing from them. Luckily, it's a track that you don't really need a lot of power for. Esteban Ocon and Behrman have fallen backwards with Albon and Sainz. Kind of Haas and Williams this time around that we haven't had much to talk about with. Liam Lawson now catching up to Gabriel Bortoleto, and Lawson actually getting ahead of Gabriel Bortoleto. Although Bortoleto now in the final point scoring place, right? Because Piastri has dropped out. So although it was going to be the two racing bulls, Audi also with another point up for grabs. Could be Bortoleto, could be Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's catching. Oh, and Hamilton goes wide at turn 2 as he's fighting with Kimi Antonelli. And Antonelli's doing a really good job at holding off the Ferrari. I think Gabriel Bortoleto being told to let Nico Hulkenberg by as Hulkenberg on the much quicker tyres. And Hulkenberg is indeed let by. Hulkenberg with his first point of the season up for grabs. 10th place Nico Hulkenberg at the moment. Lewis Hamilton then. Let's have a little replay of this. Oh, it just went so deep into turn 2. And a bit of a slide on the way out of turn 2 as well. Not great from Lewis Hamilton. Of course, has won here 8 times previously. Lando Norris's paces continued to be ridiculous at the front of the pack. Still 0.3 of a second faster. 0.3 of a second faster than Max Verstappen last lap. 6.2 seconds the gap between Norris and Verstappen. That's done. The win's in the bag. Antonelli was going to be hopefully closing in on Verstappen, but it's still 6.4 seconds and actually was only 0.3 of a second quicker. Verstappen's got a P2 on the cards here. Was looking like it was going to be Norris, Piastri, Verstappen. I think Ferrari have kind of played themselves a touch here by pitting Lewis Hamilton and getting him stuck behind Kimi Antonelli, as Antonelli looks like he might inherit that final podium spot from Piastri. Hamilton will be stuck. Everything else okay? All good with the car from our side. Hamilton's told over the radio, well, he's fallen to 2 seconds behind. Oh, and actually an incident with Hamilton speeding in the pit lane. So Hamilton's going to have absolutely no chance of getting past Antonelli here with a 5-second penalty being added to his race. So Antonelli is going to take 3rd spot. Lewis Hamilton may even drop to 5th, depending on the gap between Hamilton and Leclerc. Leclerc, 5.5 seconds the gap at the moment. It's pretty much a 5-second slam dunk penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So I feel like Hamilton's going to get that 5 seconds. Hadjar's then in 6th. George Russell in 7th. Can George Russell catch Isaac Hadjar? No, probably not. It's about a second a lap quicker as George Russell, but only 9 laps left. And here we go. Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad deciding that they want to fight for the final couple of point scoring places. And Nico Hulkenberg getting in the mix as well. Oh, it would be so Nico Hulkenberg to slide out here and DNF, but please don't. Lawson then right underneath the rear wing of Arvid Lindblad. The problem Lindblad's got is he's on 40-lap-old hard tyres. So if he's able to hold off Liam Lawson for the next 6 laps, I'll be very, very impressed indeed. That would be utterly insane from Arvid Lindblad if he's able to do that. Nico Hulkenberg also. Soft compound tyres on Hulkenberg's car. 24 laps old though. But 40-lap-old Lindblad hard compound tyres is a big tyre delta between the two. Lindblad could end up falling backwards a little bit here. Although Nico Hulkenberg actually now has to let Isaac Hadjar by as Hadjar... Oh, sorry, it's Verstappen. Verstappen making his way through the back markers. Verstappen is now going to overtake Lawson and Lindblad down towards turn 1. Possibly not. Lawson trying to get an attack going, and Verstappen's just being slowed down by the Racing Bulls cars, and Hamilton is looking at Kimi Antonelli also now making his way through some back markers, and there's been a lot of traffic in this Grand Prix at just the wrong times for a lot of these front runners. Just ask Oscar Piastri, I mean, fell out because of a gearbox issue in the end anyway, and Hamilton gets very close to a Haas car there, who I was a little bit worried hadn't seen Lewis Hamilton. Goodness gracious of me. Hamilton closing into the back of Kimi Antonelli once more, though. Lawson trying to get back past Lindblad. There is an Audi of Gabriel Bortoleto in the way of Kimi Antonelli at the moment, too, and has not helped out Kimi Antonelli whatsoever. And Lewis Hamilton actually trying to be optimistic. Bortoleto just didn't get out of the way, and Bortoleto's still not out of the way of Kimi Antonelli here. Antonelli finally gets past Bortoleto, but Hamilton does it at the same time. So Hamilton's actually now within touching distance of Antonelli. And the back markers traffic has really played against Kimi Antonelli here. Hamilton fighting for that final podium position. And it's going to be pretty tight. Hamilton's probably going to have a little go down towards turn 1, I'd imagine here. The Mercedes power unit hopefully has got enough to keep Antonelli far enough away. And he has. Antonelli gets to turn 1. Hamilton doesn't even have a little look. Hamilton now drops down and stays 4th place. Lando Norris, another victory on the cards. 11 seconds, the gap to Verstappen behind. Antonelli, then another 6 seconds beyond that. So, not looking like the podium places are really up for grabs, unless Lewis Hamilton can do something a little bit spectacular here. Antonelli decides to use Arvid Lindblad as a bit of a shield, but Lindblad has to move out of the way. Lawson and Hulkenberg have got past Arvid Lindblad in all of this. We're trying to keep an eye on Antonelli and Hamilton. But Lawson now 8th place, Hulkenberg 9th. Lindblad has dropped to 10th. And I mean, 42 lap old hard compound tyres. I do feel a little bit sorry for Arvid Lindblad in all of this. Gabriel Bortoleto is 1.3 set. Actually, Lindblad's slowing down and all of this traffic has allowed Gabriel Bortoleto just a little bit of an opportunity to possibly nab a double points finish for the Audi team. Lindblad is 42 laps completed on those hards. Bortoleto's done 33 on his hard compound tyres. So it could be a points up for grabs for Bortoleto here. It would be back-to-back races in a row. Gasly has been able to get past Lance Stroll whilst we have been looking at this fight at the front. So Gasly now up into 12th. Stroll down to 13th. Alonso 14th. So actually, the two Aston Martins outdoing the Haas's, outdoing Colapinto's Alpine as well. It's not a horrendous afternoon for Aston Martin, considering where they've normally been scrapping. They have outperformed Cadillac, Haas, and Williams, the Aston Martin team. Kimi Antonelli still under pressure from Lewis Hamilton, though, and they've finally kind of got through all of the traffic that they had in front of them. So we are going to have 4 laps of Hamilton versus Antonelli, and whether or not Antonelli can hold off the 7-time world champion behind him. Of course, fighting for his first world championship, Kimi Antonelli, and it would be great for him if he can hold on to this 3rd place. Would elongate his lead over Hamilton and Russell, the closest competitors to him going into the summer break. Russell down in 7th place after a terrible start where he went into anti-stall, dropped all the way to 20th. So Russell back up to 7th is damage limitations. And Hamilton trying to find the pace for that final podium place. But that final pit stop from Ferrari just... I don't know if any of the pit stops from Ferrari have been great this afternoon. They've always kind of... Oh, and there's Lewis Hamilton with a 5-second penalty. So completely give up on everything that I just said about Kimi Antonelli and Hamilton fighting for the final podium place. Because even if Hamilton gets ahead, Antonelli is not going to fall 5 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. I did wonder where that penalty was going. I thought it just kind of wasn't going to happen because usually it's pretty slam dunk for a speeding in the pit lane penalty. I thought that would come through a lot quicker, but they've left it a few laps, and Hamilton now 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Now it's whether or not he's going to be 5 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc currently 4.9 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So at the moment, Hamilton would actually lose a place. Hamilton would drop to Charles Leclerc behind. Isaac Hadjar is more than enough distance. He's 26 seconds off the back of Leclerc. But it's just whether or not Lewis Hamilton can keep himself ahead of Charles Leclerc. It's not looking likely because Charles Leclerc is actually closing in, and Charles Leclerc much quicker than Hamilton last lap. About half a second quicker than Hamilton last lap. 122.9 from Leclerc, 123.4 from Hamilton, and that pace unfortunately being dictated by Kimi Antonelli. And Lando Norris being told over the radio, no exit curbs. That might be of what happened to Oscar Piastri's car. So they're a little bit worried about the reliability of Lando Norris. I mean, makes sense considering Piastri dropped out from second place and a 1-2 was headed towards the McLaren garage until Piastri dropped out. So they're just being a little bit careful. Lando Norris has got a 13-second margin to Max Verstappen behind. So should be able to just coast this car home, I think, Lando Norris. And then Max Verstappen slotting into second position. Antonelli is going to come third. Charles Leclerc is actually going to jump up into fourth place because he's now only 4 seconds adrift of Lewis Hamilton with a 5-second penalty. Hadjar's going to be 6th. Russell's going to be 7th. Lawson 8th. Hülkenberg 9th. And Lindblad versus Bortoleto is the fight that is still playing out for the final points scoring position. So Bortoleto trying his absolute best to get a double points finish for Haas, for Audi. And then Audi looking to try and get 3 points on the board. Lindblad trying to keep Racing Bulls a good distance ahead of Alpine. Of course, Lawson finishing best of the rest will still mean that he gets enough points to move them ahead of Alpine. Alpine down in 12th and 15th place at the moment. So we are going to have Racing Bulls best of the rest in the Constructors' Championship. Liam Lawson best of the rest in the Drivers' Championship. But Lindblad under pressure. Bortoleto half a second behind. Having a little look at Lindblad, but not this time around. Bortoleto's not giving up on this place. Lindblad is going to be under pressure for all 3 of these final laps that we've got here in Hungary. Hamilton on the radio. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's told, and Hamilton once again not very happy with a penalty. I mean, he's had a few in the last few races as Lewis Hamilton. He's had a grid penalty today, this afternoon as well. Obviously dropped 3 places back at the start of this Grand Prix. Had that 5-second time penalty. Had penalty last weekend out in Spa. As Lando Norris gets a little bit wide at turn 2. Come on, Lando. Just a couple of laps, please. Nothing too crazy. Staying away from the curbs. Making sure that gearbox also gets all the way to the end would be absolutely lovely. And Lando actually still going quickly. I think he maybe just wants to get this done and dusted. He's maybe got an appointment after the race or something. Lando Norris is absolutely flying this afternoon. Just going crazy fast compared to everybody else. And Hamilton has given up on trying to get past Antonelli. Is now actually keeping an eye on Charles Leclerc behind. Leclerc is going to inherit 4th place from Lewis Hamilton. It's going to be Norris, Verstappen, Antonelli on the podium. Hamilton, Leclerc, Hadjar. Hamilton, Leclerc are going to swap. So it's going to be Leclerc in 4th place, Hamilton 5th place, then Hadjar, Russell 7th. Lawson has got enough of a gap to Hülkenberg behind, and Lindblad is doing his absolute defensive duties and is keeping Bortoleto at bay, to be fair, Lindblad. Might be a little bit of a last lap lunge from Gabriel Bortoleto, though. Keep you on that as Lando Norris now starts his final lap of the race. And it's a real shame for Oscar, isn't it? Dropping out of the Grand Prix so late, was leading it at one point. Had he not had that bump with Carlos Sainz, would have probably come out still ahead of Lando Norris. We'd have maybe had a bit of a battle between Norris and Piastri to see who would come out on top. But to be fair to Lando Norris, he has by far and away been the quicker of the 2 McLaren cars. He has been brilliant this season so far, I would say, Lando Norris. And actually is going to just pick up his first win of the season. And I think a more than worthy winner from the first few races of this year. Going into the summer break, 11 races after the break. Well, maybe 12. And Lando Norris is going to pick up his 2nd win in 2 seasons here at the Hungaroring. Lando Norris round the final corner. Come on. There we go. There's the win we needed. There's the Lando Norris P1 from pole. That's what we want to see. And Max Verstappen then comes around the final corner, 15 seconds adrift. Kimi Antonelli is going to come home in third spot. Again, another 4 or 5 seconds adrift of Verstappen. Hamilton is going to cross the line fourth, but Charles Leclerc is not going to be 5 seconds back. And Charles Leclerc is going to inherit fourth place. Hamilton drops to fifth. Hadjar then sixth. Russell seventh. Lawson has taken the checkered flag in eighth. So has Nico Hülkenberg. Gabriel Bortoleto held off by Arvid Lindblad. Great defensive driving from Arvid Lindblad towards the end of the race there. Some really, really good driving from Lindblad. Of course, Bortoleto's tyres were not in great condition either. But Lindblad holding on to 10th place and doing just about enough to get there. Gabriel Bortoleto finishes just outside of the points in 11th. Gasly finishes 12th. Stroll's 13th. Fernando Alonso 14th. Colapinto 15th. Esteban Ocon 16th. Ollie Behrman 17th. And Albon and Sainz in 18th and 19th place. Also, no, Behrman's going to get that penalty, isn't he? So Behrman's going to drop backwards and does. There you go on the graphic. Behrman drops back to 19th spot. 3 DNFs. Oscar Piastri was on for a P2. And unlucky from Oscar Piastri, really. He drops out, was in 20th and out of the Grand Prix. And then both of the Cadillacs unable to make it to the end. A problem with the problem with Sergio Perez's front left tyre just had a mind of its own. And front left brake, actually, was the thing that took Valtteri Bottas out of it. So it's the front left tyre on the Cadillac that just wasn't working this afternoon. Thank you guys for joining me, though. Massively appreciate it. Apologies that the track map wasn't doing its thing this afternoon. We can have a little look at it now. It's still going absolutely bananas. So there you go. But appreciate that. Thank you for all the new subscriptions as well. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Massively helps me out. Why not also, whilst we're here, check out the most recent video on the channel. It's the top link of the description. Click that link and we will be a lot of videos coming your way over the summer break. Got quite a few ideas in the running order, so I'll keep you posted on that one. Thank you guys so much, and I will let you celebrate with Lando Norris, as I will be, for the first win of the season for McLaren, and that's exactly what we want. Say it quietly. Say it very, very quietly. Lando Norris, a little bit of a comeback in the championship. Never say never. Maybe never. Unlikely, but could happen.